LJ McCray is On3's #1 ranked defensive lineman, and over the weekend, he chose Florida over FSU, Georgia, Miami, and Auburn. A big loss. So what does FSU do? They go out and flip the Canes' best commitment, 5-star defensive lineman Armando Blunt. A wild weekend, and the Noles do add a 5-star defensive lineman. Maybe not the one that we all expected heading into the weekend, but they get one. And in this video, we're going to go behind the scenes of FSU's big flip. We'll find out if it's truly all over for LJ McCray, and more flip talk. FSU fans, hit the subscribe button to the On3 Recruits channel. I want you to be a part of it, so please join the fun. Hit the subscribe button. All right, let's get it going and bring on Michael Langston from Warchant. Mike, Armando Blunt was a 2025 commitment to the Miami Hurricanes heading into the weekend. Leaves the weekend a 2024 commitment to Florida State. Now, you hinted on this at the last show that we had. Props to you. What do you think sealed the deal for FSU in flipping Armando Blunt from Miami?
I think it's just staying consistent with what they were. As far as everyone sees the product, but just never changing who you are. Like, just because somebody commits is like, you don't go in the negative recruiting. You just stay with what you are. This is what we are. This is what we're selling. I think they stayed with that and then just stayed consistent. I said it before, the relationship with Odell and him, when Armando Blunt and Norvell was so strong early, and people remember they were the leader until he took that Miami visit. And then I think once things calm down, where he started seeing stuff and seeing the product and seeing the consistency of FSU compared to other schools, even Miami, I think FSU was just better to him. And I think there was a lot of things that resonate with him that wasn't just, oh, okay, these guys are a top 4 team. This is like, I resonate kind of the family I feel here when I'm here, the comfort level. It's just on a different level. He knows kind of development he'll get. You see the guys developing, whether it's defensive tackle or defensive end. He knows the development is very high at FSU. You see guys like Patrick Payton. You see guys on the defensive line that they're doing weekly, every year. So I think that's kind of all that stuff all together. When you throw it all together, and the excitement and the fact that his mom highly prefers FSU. There's no secret about that. She's a big FSU kind of a supporter. So I saw her reaction yesterday when we got Armando live, and she was quite, juiced up and excited. So I think that's another plus too that they haven't had with a South Florida kid, that you have the parents involved, because a lot of times South Florida kids, they want to stay home, where his mom's kind of very pro FSU.
Hey, it always helps to win mom. A lot of these recruitments, if you can win mom, you can win the recruitment. Now, I kind of got the sense the last time you were on the show that Armando Blunt didn't really go up to Florida State and just change his mind. I think he was heading up there to flip his commitment, and that's just what he did on Sunday. And now there was another Miami defensive lineman commitment on campus, Artavius Jones. We talked about him last week too. He's not from South Florida. He's from Bluntstown, which is about 45, 50 minutes outside of Tallahassee. Second visit in 2 weeks. Mike, what does this mean for him? Is there still room? Is he still a priority for FSU now that they landed Armando Blunt?
Yeah, technically they only have one defensive tackle commit, Jamori Flagg, out of Booker T. Washington. Armando told me he's going to be a defensive end. That could change as his career goes, but so certainly I think, Artavius is definitely a take. I think Nasir Johnson's a take, even though he didn't visit and they rescheduled for the Miami game. I think they do want a defensive tackle or two, so I think Artavius is one they're very high on. It was interesting this week. I noticed, he was one of the last to leave as far as recruiting. They scooted him out of there a little bit faster than we've seen before. So there was obviously some good vibes from what I'm hearing of how FSU feels like they're doing in the recruitment. Now, the tricky one, it's interesting that you mentioned that kind of the things of 50 miles away. But, some of his family I know do like Miami, so that certainly helps them. But there's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of buzz just around FSU trending up in this recruitment. I think they're a team to watch. I think it's still something to really keep an eye on. If I was saying right now, I'd say FSU is the team with the momentum. Like I said, he went to FSU when Miami's playing their big game against Clemson. when kids don't do that and they don't go to the big game for their own school they're committed to, I think you have to start leaning that way
Oh,
that,
for sure.
hey, that other school is trending for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like if things keep going this way, he keeps showing up on campus, it's destined to be another Florida State flip, but we'll continue to watch that one. Now, what about LJ McCray? As we know in recruiting, anything can happen until that pen hits the paper. He seems very solid with the Florida Gators. I will say that. He's just freshly committed. I have no reason to believe he will flip. But, Mike, is it over for FSU and LJ McCray?
I don't think it's over, but it's like knowing this kid, it's also a kid that he comes across as very loyal. He went through all the process. He did all the visit. He did all this stuff before to set up. But at the same time, we know there's going to be big games. We know there's going to be games he wants to go to. We know his teammate, Zay Mincy, is going to be at FSU for the Miami game. So it's possible you see, LJ join him. So I never say never. I think it's going to be a tough pull back just because he comes across as a very loyal kid to his teammates and to things around him. But as we know in this business, Josh, things change if something happens with the team, something happens with the program, maybe it's not as consistent of what you thought it was, the team you're committed to. So that could certainly alter it. And as we saw throughout last week, I don't think a lot of people knew because we do one video and people are like, hey, you told Newberg Georgia was the biggest threat, and then next day it was Florida. So it changed a lot. We thought early in that week FSU, then later it was Florida where they closed and finished it out. But I do think FSU still going to heavily pursue. I don't think that's one they're just, they got Blunt and they're happy. They're going to still push hard for LJ, and certainly they're not going to wave the white flag, but I think it'll be a tough pull to get him back from Florida.
Yeah, and his teammate is Zay Mincy, who you just mentioned at Daytona Beach Mainland, and Zay Mincy was at Alabama over the weekend for his official visit. So we know Florida State's heavily involved, but do you think LJ McCray's decision impacts Zay Mincy at all and puts Florida up there as maybe one of the favorites to land him now?
I think Florida was always kind of, to me, the favorite. I think it was more Zay liked him more than you thought LJ did. I think it helps with comfortly, just from a comfort standpoint to have somebody
Sure.
But I didn't get it. I was over there when I was at Mainland. I didn't get the sense like, hey, they're doing a mutual decision. I think if it was mutual, they probably would announce the same time. Zay's not announcing till, like the All-Star game in January. So I just think I think they're individual decisions that could lead into, being at the same place. But overall, I don't think they impact the other. I think they're doing it very separate.
Right. Okay. Last topic I want to hit on is Jamari Howard, one of the top uncommitted DBs, not only in the state, but in the entire country. There's some news today. He announced a commitment date of November 10th. We did not know when Jamari Howard was going to decide. Now we know. About 3 weeks from now, the top 150 prospect will likely pick between FSU, UF, Miami, and Michigan State. He was a one-time Michigan State commitment, decommitted at the beginning of summer. So right now, FSU's trending heavily at 92% on the recruiting prediction machine. Do you agree with that? Do you think they are the heavy favorite heading into this decision?
I absolutely concur with that. Not every time our recruiting prediction machines.
Not every time.
You feel, but in this case, Jamari Howard's been very coveted. I know how for a lot of different FSU contacts and how Patrick Surtain really covets this guy. I mean, and so they really want him. They feel like he's a multi DB where he can do a lot of multi things out there, not just cover, but certainly can help you as far as run support and stuff like that. But I think ever since then, and then Randy Shannon's been a big part as well as far as developing the relationship. But I think the more they got him on campus, for me, the big turning point, Josh, is when he shunned Florida, who was the perceived favorite going in for a while, and he took a multi-day visit to FSU in the summer. I think that really kind of almost sealed it for me, that it tells you who he covets. And I think it's only gotten stronger. The feelings have gotten stronger. Even when Miami was starting to have a good start of the season, a lot of people were talking about Miami, but I think it's always been, for me, FSU. And I think they should get some good news in early November when it comes to his recruitment, barring something crazy changing. But I think they sit in a really good spot.
All right, well, there you got it, Mike. Thanks for dropping by the Inside Scoop and recapping an absolutely wild weekend in Florida State recruiting, but we wouldn't have it any other way, would we, Mike?
I love it. I love it. And guess what, guys? It's going to be even bigger in November when Miami comes to town.
Yep.
We're talking double-digit 5 stars, over 120 recruits. So we're built for this, Josh. That's what we do. So let's go. It's coming up, and it's getting exciting.
Absolutely. You guys be sure to stay locked into Warchant. They have all the latest recruiting news and newest developments. So warchant.com, that's where you can find it all. Mike, thanks for stopping by the Inside Scoop.
Anytime, man.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.